her, because I think this is going to blow up in her face. And I think that if she accepts responsibility now and apologizes, it may not save her, but it certainly will minimize the damage, and she'll regain control of the story and her reputation. I think the longer she lets this go, this is not going to stop, because the media, if the media doesn't like anybody, it's Hillary Clinton, and that's been and the Clintons, I should say, together over the years, and they're going to be like pit bulls on this one. So, Jonathan, I wonder what your advice would be. I gave you my suggestion that she does. What do you think she can do?
I would agree with you that she should do whatever it takes to put this behind her as quickly as possible, and that means a mea culpa. You know, in hindsight, I probably should have done this differently. I regret that. Regret any cause. I want to assure you that it was highly secured. We'll make sure that copies of everything does end up in the government record. Of course, she could always do a Bill Clinton and said, well, depends on how you define email.
Right. And just as a thought exercise, can either of you recall over the last 20 years of her national political exposure, can either of you recall Hillary Clinton ever issuing a mea culpa?
I have not. Great point. Yeah.
No, but she's married to someone who's real experienced at it.
Well,
and you're right, Greg. That does play, and that for anybody out there who is going to vote in 2016 and may be on the fence about her, to a lot of people, this is what we talk about all the time about our politicians, right? Of playing by different rules, and this is that perfect storm for that narrative.
Well, let me interject, Rich. This is a chance for Hillary to do what she's never done, which is become a human being.
Right.
If she's willing to humanize herself by finally getting humble, she could turn these lemons into lemonade.
The poor woman's still in shock from when she left the White House and was broke. We need to be cutting her a break.
Yeah, send her a check, right? How many millions does she get when she speaks, right? And the books.
Well, and Bill,
between the two of them, yeah, it's an amazing empire they got building there. So, what I want to ask you, Greg, is about this. Is this just another example of this subpoenaing of her emails? I actually think this is legitimate, but this is different than Benghazi, right?
Look, it is legitimate because a person who's in line for the presidency broke a very significant law. If this happened, okay, so I'll start from the position of believing it's legitimate. However, we have diluted the value of hearings and subpoenas in Congress to the point where it's just one more thing that's going to get a lot of airtime on Fox and a little bit of airtime everywhere else.
Good point.
Nobody's paying attention.
Okay. Any other thoughts on this, gentlemen? Before we wrap up? Oh.
Has anybody called it Hillary-gate yet?
You might want to trademark it and get it out on Twitter right away.
Email servers are typically called mail gateways, so maybe there's some predecessor there. One of the things that will be interesting, we're now at this point we're game playing it, right? But if she did it and she controls the servers, she has the ability to delete email more effectively than anybody else. But that doesn't say anything about the people she sent sensitive emails to. So even if she picks through every email and deletes out the sensitive stuff on her server, there's this great hanging liability out there among people she hopes she can trust.
Right, and there's a larger story here. Of course, the story that the crisis that came before this was taking donations from foreign countries. That was the other issue, right? And so this is sort of like part two to that story, if you will. I don't see these stories being separated going forward.
Plus, I guarantee you, every hacker in the world right now is trying to find her server.
Yep.
Directly or indirectly, either through people she communicated with or directly to find her server, which if she's got any brains left in her IT team, she would have already switched to some different server. But so she's become now even a bigger target than she ever was for people to find out what was on her private server.
You know, just as an aside, remember the Sony hack a couple of months ago? That one Sony executive's email file and contacts were exposed. I believe Hillary Clinton was in those contacts, and I believe that the emails of hers that were exposed were not sex state, emails, not actual to and from emails, but her contact file showing a list of emails, cell phone numbers, things like that. It would be interesting to go back and see what other emails were in there.
Sure.
That she's using. Give her attackers multiple vectors to investigate.
Interesting. Gentlemen, thank you so much. This was a great show, obviously. I want to, first of all, just thank our viewers for watching around the world. I want to thank Ron Campius, the Washington Bureau Chief of the Jewish Telegraphic Agency. I didn't get a chance to thank him and say goodbye. He checked out. So thank you, Ron, if you watch the replay. From Las Vegas, from the West Third Group, Greg Brooks, always a pleasure. Jonathan Bernstein, Crisis Manager. I'm glad you two met, by the way. I think it was a great show to have you guys on together. And we'll do it again soon. So thank you very much. If anybody wants to watch past episodes of The Crisis Show, please visit www.thecrisisshow.com. Our Twitter account is @TheCrisisShow. You could also use hashtag The Crisis Show. You could also find Jonathan and Greg through our Twitter feed. You could communicate with them as well on their Twitter feed. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon. Thanks again, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Rich.
Take care.
Bye-bye.